You're watching Talking Points, a focus on the political scene in Lubbock and across the South Plains.
Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the political headlines of the past week. The next campaign season is upon us today, actually the first day for state and congressional candidates to file their paperwork for the March primary. The first contestant, though, is former Lubbock County Republican Party Chairman Carl Tepper, who had paperwork in early to set up a campaign treasurer for the run at John Frullo's soon-to-be vacant seat in House District 84. More candidates to come there for sure. The Lubbock County District Attorney announcing this week that they'll have to recuse themselves from a potential prosecution of a shooting suspect because the case has a connection to a local elected official who could be called in as a witness. Now, this is not the biggest secret in the world, but we don't talk names here because no one at this point has been arrested for the shooting death of 54-year-old Chad Reed. The Texas Attorney General's office now has the investigation, and if they decide to pursue the case, it'll go to a special prosecutor. You know, it's not always easy serving on a school board. Tax rate questions, a constant fight for state funding, this critical race theory stuff that's popped up, getting the kids back up to speed after the COVID slide. And for Lubbock ISD trustee president Jack Brady this week, the question was whether to close Lubbock's oldest school building because of dwindling enrollment numbers. Mr. Brady talks about that and more with our Ryan Chandler for 5 good minutes.
Do you think that the majority of the district is now on board with this decision? How are you reacting to that?
Look, closing or consolidating a school is never easy, especially an elementary school. And this one is no different. Dupree has a long history in the heart of Lubbock neighborhood, and the folks that have attended and whose kids do attend feel strongly about it. I would be really worried if we were talking about consolidating a neighborhood school and we didn't have opposition from the neighborhood. So that sort of thing is expected. You know, in terms of how we feel, I mean, nobody feels great about having to make a decision like this, but I do think it's the best one that we can make right now for the biggest number of LISD students. And while I understand that folks at Dupree may not, you know, buy into this proposition right now, I think that you'll find over time that we can offer more services to those students, more wraparound services like counseling, like additional specialized instruction in a larger school in terms of student population than we've been able to do at Dupree.
Take us through what this transition process will look like to make sure that it is the most beneficial and the easiest for the students and the parents.
Sure. Well, the first thing I want to say is that the most important factor in how students are going to view these changes is going to be how they're presented to them not only at school but at home. And respectfully, if mom and dad have a good attitude and present this as an opportunity to the students, that's going to be extraordinarily helpful. In terms of friends going other places, that's a challenge, but it's a challenge that all of us in public schools deal with every year regardless. You know, my daughter made a different choice for middle school than others at her elementary school. I mean, that's just part of it. When we opened McCool, there were kiddos that went there and their elementary school companions went to middle school somewhere else. So that's something that's part of growing up, and I understand that it's not easy.
You're in a very interesting role now because education has taken a front seat in the news and the political conversation in Texas and around the country. Here in Texas, districts are adapting to the last session's laws, thinking HB 3979, arranging new curriculum requirements, ostensibly targeting critical race theory. Governor Abbott has announced a list of books he wants districts to review for explicit material. How is all of that changing political environment? How is that playing out locally in LISD?
Well, we try to focus on what I call kid issues and not grown-up issues. Yeah. And there are a lot of folks looking to politicize public ed on both sides, okay? And, you know, if you look at what we've done in the last couple of years, last year, we were the largest school district in the state of Texas to open on time and in person during all of the COVID uproar. This year, we've come back, again, full strength with the idea that vaccines are encouraged, masks are welcome. We have not been a mandatory mask district. We have not weighed into this let's go sue the governor nonsense, frankly, I think, that's been going on downstate. We've tried to focus on kid issues, first of all, not stuff that are grown-up issues. The other thing is we as a board, and thankfully our administration as a team, are a heck of a lot more focused on reading and writing and arithmetic than we are on CRT. I don't believe that sort of thing is being taught anywhere in our schools. If somebody tells me that they know of a place that it is, well I want to know about it, right? But I don't think we have that problem. I'm more concerned with whether or not kids in 3rd through 8th grade are reading and writing and doing math on level. And I think that's the job we got to do first, and that's the thing we spend time talking about. And one thing a board can contribute to is the things you spend time talking about. Those are the things your workforce is going to focus on as well. Those
are grown-up issues, right? It's all politics at the end of the day. But they do filter down into becoming kids' issues if they change what they learn in the classroom, what books are available in the library. Do you think that that is an issue for the district?
In terms of, let's just say, looking at what's available in libraries or otherwise paying attention to curriculum, you know, as we get guidance from TEA on what they want us to do, we absolutely will implement that guidance. We already have a practice, a policy, pardon me, we have a policy of how a parent, if they come across library material that they find objectionable, can let the district know, and the district can proceed accordingly. Our librarians currently have pretty good autonomy in terms of what books they think are appropriate for the bookshelves, but certainly all of this hubbub, if you will, has caused us to think about that a little bit.
Right. So it sounds like, to reassure parents who may be worried about this, you're not aware of CRT in any classroom. There are policies in place to review books that parents may find objectionable. So this is not a real issue that you're seeing day to day in the district, is that right?
I mean, I think that's correct. I mean, you know, and I think this CRT label is overbroad and sloppily applied, right? You know, I think it's appropriate for high school history and government classes to talk about some of the issues that the country has struggled with over the years, right? And how the country has grown in those areas. I think it's appropriate for high school history and government classes and middle school to talk about the fact that the Holocaust, it was a real thing, and to talk about the fact that it was a ethnic cleansing that was motivated by ethnic hate. That's an appropriate thing to talk about, and I think we're doing our students a disservice if we don't talk about some of those issues.
Well, is there anything else you want to add that people need to know?
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me this morning.
You bet. Absolutely. Happy to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Gentlemen, thank you. Straight ahead, imagine living in a farm community near here and not being able to call 911. A state fund that makes our rural neighbors have cell phone service is slowly going away, and for many folks just a few miles from Lubbock, it's their only source of the internet as well. We'll talk about it next on Talking Points.